Everyone. This is Michelle Gramoglia, the President and CEO here at Woodland Pond, and this is my weekly address for Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025, and I would like to start by wishing everyone that is celebrating Rosh Hashanah a Happy New Year. I know that the idea of a new year and a new start was probably appealing to a lot of people, whether you celebrate Rosh Hashanah or not. So maybe we can all find a piece of optimism and hope in today. But again, for those that celebrate, a very happy new year to you all. We've got a variety of things to talk about today, and I'm going to go through them in no particular order. I will start with something that a resident asked of me yesterday as I was heading out. She indicated to me that she was very excited about our Sweet 16 party on Thursday, and was combing through her closet to try to find something fun to wear. She did try some things on. She said that they didn't fit, but she asked if we could put together a display of items for people from either when they were 16 years old or from the 50s, since we're doing sort of a sock hop, malt shop, 1950s kind of theme. I would love to do that. I talked to Lindsay about it, and she certainly said that anyone that has any kind of memorabilia, if you happen to have a picture of yourself when you were 16, anything that you'd like to either fall into the category of Sweet 16 or the theme that we're doing, please feel free to bring things to Lindsay. Obviously the party is Thursday, so time is ticking, but I thought it was a great idea and I wanted to pass that along. You have seen, if you are watching and paying attention, you've probably seen more folks than usual wearing what we call high-vis or fluorescent shirts walking around on campus. And you may have seen them with Dave Roberts or Tom Tango or someone else from our design team. And that is because we are getting closer and closer every day to groundbreaking on our renovation. And so hopefully you're all watching Dave Roberts' weekly addresses on Fridays, but the ball is starting to sort of roll here and we're getting very excited. So those folks that need to figure out which parking spots we're going to need to take offline, how construction vehicles are going to enter and exit the campus, they don't just decide that all on the day that they break ground. So we're in that preliminary planning phase. We had a fantastic call yesterday with the Department of Financial Services, or DFS, which is the last hurdle that we have in being able to take this first round of financing to the market. We're really optimistic. We had a great deal of positive discussion yesterday. DFS did indicate that we are at step 9 out of 10. And while they could not commit to timing or to an answer for sure about whether or not they will be approving the financing, I do feel that everything is going in the right direction, and we are ready to rock and roll whenever that approval comes through. On another positive note related to that, we have seen great movement in the bond market over the last couple of weeks, and the interest rate that we ran the projections on actually looks like it may come in about 0.5% or 40 to 50 basis points using the technical lingo compared to what our models had this running at, and that's savings directly to the residents. So we're excited about that as well. So lots of good stuff there, and I would just say keep an eye on everything. We're hoping to have a great announcement within the next week or two, but we're really getting close. As we get closer and as things begin to move forward, not only here on the existing campus renovation, but as we look towards finalizing plans, eventually putting in an application for expansion, which would be a different planning board application, we are doing additional due diligence on the properties that we are looking at acquiring. And what that means is twofold. Number one, there are a number of environmentally related tests that have to be done in order for us to ensure that we understand and know, what the subsurfaces are, understanding the quality of the wetlands. And this is work that we are working with extensively with experts. And as time gets closer and as we look more at expansion site work and announcements. We will be very transparent with all of you as to, who we're utilizing and how we've gotten to where we are. I'm certain that Dave Roberts has spent a good amount of time explaining the extent to which we have used civil engineers, biologists, and wetland experts to determine the vulnerability of the wetlands on our existing property and on the property that we're looking to acquire, and then working directly with DEC to understand what the requirements will be in terms of how we can utilize the land. And we are 1000% committed to following exactly what DEC requires of us to a T. Each of these layers, the consulting with the biologist, the extensive work with the civil engineers beyond what would typically be required. This is all Woodland Pond investing above and beyond the basic requirements to make sure that no matter what we do, we are being as protective of the environment as we possibly can. We are also currently evaluating, of the parcels that we are looking at acquiring, which might be appropriate to add to our existing conservation easement. And while nothing has been decided there, I will feel very confident in telling you that it is our intent that as much of the land that we acquire that can appropriately be added to either our existing conservation easement with the Wallkill Valley Land Trust or a new conservation easement, we absolutely intend to pursue that. It's very important for us to protect natural and open space. And if we don't otherwise have use to develop or construct on that land, we are going to be motivated to pursue alternatives to protect that land. And so this is really exciting and good stuff. And we just had DEC out this morning. A neighbor, we believe, maybe it was a resident, I don't know. Someone had contacted DEC with a concern about some of the work that we were doing to clear the concrete pad on the parcel we acquired in December to begin to allow for mobilization of some construction vehicles. They came out this morning. They were happy with where we are on this. They identified some opportunities for us to plant some additional grass seed and some other things. So we're going to be taking care of that. Very good discussion this morning. So I just wanted to provide that update to everyone and let you know that we're really excited to be working collaboratively with all of these folks in the spirit of doing as much as we can to protect that land. We have a pickleball outing next Tuesday at Quiet Cove. That will be departing at 8:30 in the morning and running until, looks like we're going to return about noon, 12. If you're interested in playing pickleball at Quiet Cove on next Tuesday, the 30th, please do let Matt Romer know. A friendly reminder that in the pool room and in the fitness room, the lights are required to be on at all times while they are in use, and that is a safety issue. So if you are a resident that is utilizing those spaces, or you have a guest that you are accompanying and utilizing those spaces, those lights do need to be on. Tomorrow, we do have a calendar edition, and from 10 a.m. until noon, there will be a staff member here from the Elting Library, and they will be helping you sign up for a library card with the Elting Library and providing introductory help to residents for accessing their digital services, which include ebooks, audiobooks, movies, and television. I guess libraries are going digital now. So you can bring your questions and your devices, and that representative from the Elting Library, again, will be here tomorrow. This does not say the location, so look out for your calendar. I'm not sure exactly where that's going to be, but it's going to be tomorrow from 10 a.m. until noon. On Thursday, we were supposed to have a Legacy Films presentation that has been postponed until October 16th. Related to Rosh Hashanah, which is the beginning of the Jewish New Year, as I mentioned at the outset of the address. It looks like we are in Hebrew year 5786. Shalom Space is excited to announce that Rabbi Moshe Plotkin, who is the Director of Jewish Studies at SUNY New Paltz, will lead a short Rosh Hashanah observance tomorrow from 6 to 6:20 in the classroom, and the invitation is open to all residents. We are now taking signups for the murder mystery that's going to happen on Sunday, November 16th. And these are very fun. I did one of these many years ago for one of my grandmother's milestone birthdays. And it's so fun. You have a troupe of actors typically that are sort of leading the way and helping you work through the mystery while you're dining with your friends. So it's a murder mystery dinner. The cost of the event is $55, and that does include the 3-course price fix menu, non-alcoholic beverages, and the performance. These tickets are non-refundable. So if you do purchase a ticket or sign up for a ticket and then you cannot go, you will need to find a replacement to take your ticket, or you will, be out that $55. But this is really exciting. Let's see. All right, we've got a couple of things from the rumor mill and suggestion box, just a few. There are 3 sort of in the vein of wanting to advance the discussion about, again, why the announcement about Charlie Kirk's assassination and why we have not announced others. We had covered this on last week's address, and I do wish that any of these 3 folks had brought this up at the management Q&A last week, because I do think that it's a great topic and something to discuss and deliberate as a group. And it's really difficult to be able to engage in a conversation about this because none of these had anyone's name on them. So not even exactly sure who I need to get back to on this, but I will just characterize some. They're extremely lengthy, so I'm not going to read them in detail, but I will kind of go through a couple of the highlights. So last week, just reflecting on what I had said, because a couple of folks had asked the same question, and I pointed out that this was not a Woodland Pond, singular type of announcement that was made. This was sort of how the media on both sides of politics and, right down the middle treated this. This was news. This was newsworthy. And in thinking about why was this more newsworthy than, for example, the attack on Nancy Pelosi's husband, that's something that is brought up, frequently in this context. I don't know the answer to that question. And I think it's a bigger question. There's absolutely an element of how well known and well embedded someone is. And while it's very evident to me that Charlie Kirk is somewhat newer on the radar for residents, this is an individual, like it or not, that is a lightning rod for folks on both sides of the aisle. For some, terrible, and for others, not terrible. But the demographic of people that have followed his content is expansive, not among necessarily our resident demographic. So it's not a surprise to me at all that this may be someone that you're not familiar with until you looked into kind of what he's been doing over the last, 8 or 10 years. But I think the question is a good one. And the question is one for all of us to think about and evaluate is, how does one decide why something is more visceral or more impactful and decide that that's going to happen? Again, I think that it was wide scale in terms of how media outlets reported on this situation, much more wide scale than happened with some of the other political attacks this year. And I think that it's a great discussion for debate. So I would encourage that. This particular one that I'm looking at now has a whole series of words on a page that have quotations around them, and I will not read those. I am 100% committed to reading quotes on things as long as they don't violate any of our existing community policies, but I will not read something that I cannot individually vet the source of and nor has no context. So if you would like to resubmit these quotes to me with the full source document so that I can read the full context and be able to individually verify them, that's a completely different opportunity for disclosure than what this has on this piece of paper. I am very uncomfortable with reading something as a quote if I cannot independently verify it. I don't think that that's responsible or appropriate, but I do invite you to provide me the additional context and citations for these if you would like me to further consider those for the address. The next one, this was interesting to me. So this person asked specifically about the comment that I included in our notice about the, not, I wouldn't say warning, but the suggestion to make sure that we're all being vigilant. And this person took great offense to that. That's very interesting to me because certainly the goal and the interest is to ensure that folks are aware that as much as we all love and feel comfortable at Woodland Pond, the reality is not just with this situation, but with a lot of what's going on right now. There's a lot of energy, a lot of divisiveness, and of course, no one wants to hear this or no one wants to really accept this, but we all need to be somewhat vigilant. And I think situations like this remind us that you never know, what the person in the grocery store is doing. You never know the mindset of the people that you're with. And we have to have some level of awareness. How you choose to navigate that in your life is up to you. And this is not in any way intended to suggest that there is an advanced threat against Woodland Pond, but the audience for that message was not just residents. That's our entire listserv, and our entire listserv is comprised of over 1,000 people that is partially residents, but just as many staff as residents and also your loved ones. And there are folks all over the place in terms of the spectrum of that listserv. And so you have to sort of take the reminder that although we are sort of in a bubble here at Woodland Pond, this is sort of an unprecedented time in recent American history in terms of where folks are on these kinds of issues. And we just want to make sure that everyone is thinking about that and, self-preservation, I guess, probably not the right word, but just to be aware that not everybody may be as comfortable or as content as you are. And it's a terrible reality, but it's really in the exact same vein as us doing active shooter drills and putting the blue light system in. Yes, are these areas that we are doing to prepare for things and to be vigilant? Absolutely, but it's really to protect you and ourselves. This next one, again, extremely lengthy, a lot of sort of similar to the quotes in the first one, a lot of things where, there's descriptions of things that Charlie Kirk has said, no context, so I will not read them. And I do invite you to please provide me anything that I can do to validate citations, those kinds of things, and that will be a different consideration for these addresses. One thing I will sort of tie this all into, there has been an enormous push at Woodland Pond, I would say over the last 3 months, but really going back a year or a year and a half, to have Woodland Pond examine and liberalize our policies related to speakers, how we invite debate, thought, challenging, and we have made significant inroads in terms of our policies and liberalizing and codifying our commitment to all of that. There is going to be a revised version of the compliance policy for community events that's going to be coming out, hopefully after the board approves it tomorrow. And a couple of you have had the opportunity to review the current draft, and it takes even more steps to ensure and states affirmatively that Woodland Pond is committed to each and every single one of these things, limited only by our existing policies and procedures or our limitations under our 501c3. To this end, I am so excited to report that last week, Jason and Carrie and Lindsay and I had a meeting to really think about all of this in the context of our calendars. And right now, Carrie is working on a, hopefully, fingers crossed, we make it work, a standing calendar item every single month for invited speakers. So it would be a slot every single month for a different invited speaker. And there could be more than that, but this is our commitment to at least one a month. standing spot on the calendar. And then also, and this is new, a second standing spot on the calendar for resident-led lectures. That was Carrie's idea, and I fully endorse it and support it. The more there can be discussion and encouragement of, you know, people sharing their thoughts, we all are 100% committed to that. And I'm so excited that we've gotten to the point with this policy and some of these calendar things that really kind of have us walk the talk. And I look forward to continuing this conversation. I hope you all have a great day, and I will see you soon.